Chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2. I'm David Lovejoy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rhonda Lahnert.
And I'm the Sultan of Satire, Chuckalicious Chuck Williams.
And our man, Brant Fricker. It's Friday. Yeah, Brant was out last week a little bit under the weather, and then he was traveling, too. He had a ton of stuff going on, but always glad to have him back in. And Brant, we were just talking off camera. We talk a lot about the mental state and how you prepare yourself each and every day and what you need to do. But sometimes a good friend of mine, Eric, down in Harvard, works for K-Pan, big Tejano guy. Matter of fact, he's the guy who got me my first ever interview with a Grammy Award winner, Big Eric. Well, his mother passed away this week.
Oh.
And so my heart goes out. Under Max is what he's known as in the music world. And I thought about that. That's one club that I belong to, and I wish no one else had to belong to it. But I think, especially with men, you learn how to be a man from your dad, but you learn your compassion and your emotions usually from your mother.
Right.
And when you lose that, you feel like you've lost a half of yourself. There's a part of you missing for a while. And we're going to talk about today about embracing yourself, really. That sometimes it can all be about the mental, but sometimes it's got to be about the emotion.
That's right. You know, interesting that you just mentioned that and about losing yourself. You know, if you put yourself last, so will everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And as men, I've been doing events for men since 2000. Not much has changed in the needs for encouragement for men. I know of a man that lost himself. He had a lot of success, but he lost himself in a very turbulent, abusive situation that he couldn't talk about. And you know, if you would have asked him up until the time he was 40, if you would have asked him what his favorite food was, his favorite jeans, his favorite boots, his favorite, he couldn't tell you. He was so depleted in a relationship. You know, if you watch the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, borderline personality disorder, women have it, men have it. You know, if they do, it's a very hard thing. A lot of counselors just say good luck. It can be a very violent thing, and this man went through that. 17 years of a violence towards him. He never returned the violence, but it wasn't until he got away from that situation he could even tell you what his favorite food was, because for 17 years he was told how worthless he was, how he was never good enough, how, you know, all those things. And yesterday was the first day that he could talk about it, because the court proceedings after 15 years of being away from that and winning his son's freedom, can I talk about it? So I know what it's like to lose yourself. On the outside, you can be successful, but on the inside, you can lose yourself. You can be depleted. And as men, we can put ourselves last. We should put ourselves last, but not in every conceivable way. You know, big deals are made of Mother's Days. But Father's Day is let's get a tie, you know.
Yeah.
Don't fall into the temptation of putting the man in your life last. Don't fall into the temptation of putting yourself last, either from past trauma or whatever. And I know what I said was shocking, but it's true. That was my life. And do one thing this weekend for yourself that will feed your soul. You know, it's hard to pour out of a vessel that's empty. And so every once in a while you have to pour in to that vessel to be able to pour out. You know, again, we don't make a big deal of Father's Day. Even weddings aren't our day. You know, it's her day. And hey, you know, I'm a champion for speaking up for the oppressed, speaking up for women and encouraging women leadership and children. But I'm going to tell you guys, the problem with always neglecting yourself or putting yourself last is that everyone else gets used to it too. And next thing you know, you're depleted, and you're having to fight temptations to medicate that depletion in other ways. And so do one thing for yourself. Lovejoy, I know you like getting your hair cut and your shoes shine. And I admire that about you, because you invest in yourself. I know that you care for people. I know that you play the role of a caregiver at times, or a lot of times. You give out so much, Lovejoy, to the community. I know all of you there, you do so much for the community, but I'm encouraged to hear that you do something for yourself, because you need to feed yourself. For me, I had to stop the world and begin to do things I enjoy. Consequently, I enjoy helping people. That feeds my tank too. But every once in a while, I need to break away and do just something for myself to replenish. But I kid you not, I spent most of my life not even knowing what my favorite anything was, because I was so depleted, and you wouldn't have known it from my life. But I had a private hell that, as of yesterday, I can finally talk about it. And I have a lot to talk about for men. But don't neglect yourself. And men, don't neglect yourself. Women, don't neglect your man. The absence of a father is the reason for so many problems. Most of your people in prison, the absence of a father. Most of your young people in gangs, the absence of a father. Most of your issues in addiction, the absence of a father. Most of your issues in promiscuity and teen pregnancy, teen suicide, the absence of a father. You got to see what I'm saying. So it's time that we start. Men, do one thing this weekend that will feed your soul, that's not destructive, but one thing. And then women, take care of the men in your life. So what a heavy topic, but be encouraged to feed your soul. Do one thing that will feed your soul this weekend. Put a little bit back in so you can keep pouring out.
During all this time, were you able to feed your soul in any way? And if you were feeding your soul, what thoughts did you have to think? Because you can think on purpose. What were you thinking all of this time just to keep going?
You mean during the 17 years of...
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What fed my soul was, I was championing causes, and what people didn't realize was I was trying to help people that were going through what I was going through, while I was not able to really talk about it. But there's something, the term the wounded healer. And, men don't talk about those things when they go through it. There's two kinds of men: a man that will take it, or a man that won't. And usually the ones who won't, for a time, their children are kept from them. Our system rewards parental alienation. Mm-hmm. It rewards, it's a very interesting time. So, but back to your question, Rhonda, I fed myself through trying to encourage others who were going through the same private hell. And that's how I did it. That's how I did it, but, again, it's hard to function really well at that if you're empty. So some way, somehow, by the grace of God, encouraging others and helping each other gave me energy and gave me hope. And when I finally came to the point that the only way I was going to have peace for my children was to go create that peace, that made it easier too, having some kind of hope. And it took 15 years after that 17 years to finally get that. And as of yesterday, my son and I am free.